Tax day is coming soon, and thousands of hardworking Americans still need to file their 2023 federal income tax return. And if you're one of them, don't panic. I'm Mark Steber, Chief Tax Information Officer at Jackson Hewitt, and I'll help you figure out if you'll make the deadline or if you'll need to file an extension this year. What is a tax extension anyway? Great question, especially because there's a lot of confusion out there about extensions and when to file an extension for taxes and what it means. A tax extension is a way for you to get more time to file your tax return. But here's what people misunderstand. It's more time to file the forms with the IRS. It is not more time to pay the taxes that you owe. If you owe the IRS, you must still pay by April 15th, 2024, or risk penalties and interest. So when should you consider filing a tax extension? Well, life gets in the way, things happen, and we let things slip through the cracks. But as long as you fill out and submit a Form 4868, application for automatic extension of time to file, by tax day, you'll get, like the title of the form itself says, an automatic 6-month extension of time to file your 2023 tax return. It's free, it's easy, the IRS does not charge you a penalty or a fee to file the Form 4868. Our tax pros at Jackson Hewitt can help you out as well. Also, keep in mind, you have a legal right to file an extension, granting you more time to file your tax return. And while the IRS doesn't require to tell them why, I find it's a best practice to only do it when you have a good reason. While in my 3 decades of working in the tax industry, I've not found too many everyday reasons to file an extension, but there are exceptions. Like, you should not file an extension because you're not in the mood, but you should if you're missing documentation related to your tax return. Like you're getting closer to tax day and you realize you're missing a W-2 and your employer can't get it to you on time, you should not make an estimate and guess what's on your W-2. Otherwise, you could risk major issues with the IRS and state for filing an incorrect tax return. Other examples when you should consider filing a tax extension include something in your life disrupts your ability to file your 2023 tax return, like you have a death or an illness in your family, or even a natural disaster. Filing an extension also gives you more time to correct mistakes. For example, if you receive a Form 1099 from your freelancing work and it reports an incorrect amount paid to you. But I repeat, an extension does not give you more time to pay your taxes. Now here's how to file an extension. You and your tax expert are going to complete and fill out Form 4868. It can sometimes feel overwhelming because you need to have legitimate information on it. No guessing here. And it's not as simple as checking the box saying, I need 6 more months. You've got a little bit of work to do. But it's nothing that we can't help you with. Part 1. Line 1 is where you put your name as it's shown on your Social Security card and your mailing address. If there's been a change in your name since the last time you filed, due to marriage or divorce or other reason, the Social Security Administration must be notified of the change before you submit the IRS Form 4868. If you don't get the name properly registered with them beforehand, your tax extension application process will be delayed or may even be denied. And if there's been a change in your address since the last time you filed taxes, you'll be required to fill out Tax Form 8822, Change of Address, to inform the IRS. Lines 2 and 3 are where you put your Social Security number for yourself and your spouse if you have one. And if you don't have a Social Security number because you're not eligible for one, enter your individual tax identification number, or ITIN, in its place. Part 2. Here's where you put your estimated information about your income tax liability. Line 4 is where you'll put a dollar amount for your estimate of total tax liability for 2023. If you have a zero liability, meaning you didn't earn any money last year, you still enter a 0. But be aware, if you incorrectly estimate this amount on the line, it can be flagged by the IRS system. Line 5 is where you put the total of your 2023 tax payments you made. This includes any quarterly estimated tax payments you made last year, as well as all money that was withheld from your paychecks throughout the year, or even both amounts added together, if you have both. Line 6 is where you'll put your balance due for the year. It's the total of the unpaid tax balance that's owed to the IRS for 2023. You get this number by subtracting the number you had for line 4 and 5. If the amount shown on line 5 is greater than line 4, simply enter 0 in this field. Line 7 is where you'll put the number you're paying when you file your Form 4868. If you don't owe the IRS because you're expecting to get a tax refund, simply enter 0 in this field. If you live outside the United States, but you're still a citizen or a resident, you'll check the box on line 8. And if you file Form 1040-NR for non-residents and did not receive wages as an employee subject to U.S. income tax withholding, you'll check the box on line 9. So what happens if you don't file a federal tax extension? Well, if you're watching this and it's already past April 15th and you forgot to file an extension and your tax return in general, it's okay. Breathe and don't panic. File your tax return as soon as you are able. You cannot file a tax extension after tax day, but you can file your tax return. If you owe, you might face the failure to file penalty, which is generally 5% of the unpaid tax amount each month, and it caps out at 25%. Generally, a federal return that is due a refund does not get this penalty. However, some states do penalize late filed refund returns. You might also get hit with the failure to pay penalty, which is a penalty if at least 90% of your expected taxes due are not paid in by tax day. This penalty is much less costly. It starts out at 0.5% or 0.5% of unpaid taxes each month, and it also caps out at 25%. So less costly on a monthly basis, but it does add up fast over time. And interest is compounded daily, meaning the numbers grow fast. So the longer you wait to file and pay, the more you'll pay in penalties and interest. Who does not need to file an extension, but gets one anyway? Great question. There are some people who will get an automatic extension on their federal tax return, even if they don't submit the Form 4868. That includes if you're a U.S. citizen who lived and worked outside of the country on the deadline, and out of the country is key. You have until June 15th to file your tax return. But caution, you still have to pay your taxes by April 15. If you're in a federally declared disaster area last year, you may get more time to file and pay your taxes. And if you're a member of the military and are in a combat zone for any time during the filing season, you get an automatic 180-day extension to file and pay your taxes. So what do you do after you file a tax extension? Well, my biggest piece of advice after you've filed an IRS tax extension, don't keep waiting, file as soon as you're able. Just because you're given 6 more months doesn't mean you have to wait until October to finish your tax return. Meet with a tax pro to talk about your next steps and what paperwork you need in order to complete your tax return as soon as you receive it. Don't let the days and months keep piling up. It will only make you feel more anxious. They can help you get all your ducks in a row and organize your documents to prepare for a smooth filing whenever you're ready. Think you want to request a tax extension this year? Talk to a tax pro at Jackson Hewitt and schedule an appointment today on jacksonhewitt.com. And tell me in the comments, if you could get 6 more months to do something else besides your tax return, what would it be? And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more information and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all things tax.